everybody. In today's lesson, we are going to look at the philosophies of Immanuel Kant and his insights into moral rights. So, rights are the foundation of our coexistence. It is a set of principles which dictate what we are entitled to do and what we are entitled to have. From the bustling streets of Windhoek to the serene landscapes of the Namibian desert, these rights protect our dignity and freedom. The principle of right focuses on examining and possibly protecting individual moral and legal rights. When we say that something is an entitlement, it is a legal right. Entitlements can come from laws or moral standards, which we then call moral rights or human rights. In other words, we are saying that all humans are permitted to do something or are entitled to have something done for them. In the Namibian Constitution's preamble, it emphasizes the commitment to protect human rights and dignity. Imagine a society where everybody is civil and privacy and employee rights are respected. This does not necessarily happen in all nations, but in Namibia, our constitution and our laws strive to make this a reality, safeguarding our liberties and ensuring justice. Rights can either shield us from interference, and when a right do this, like for instance the right to privacy, then we call this a negative right. Rights can also entitle us to benefits. If that is the case, then we call this a positive right. A positive right, like for instance the right to education and the right to medical care. In our communities, this means both protecting our space and ensuring our access to education and healthcare. The third type of right is contractual rights. Contracts bind our businesses, but ethics basically light the path. Through fair dealings and respect for agreements, our markets flourish, reflecting Namibia's commitment to integrity. Now we ask the question, if we have moral rights, what is the basis for these moral rights? How do we know that people have rights? The question can be answered in a fairly straightforward way when it is asked about legal rights. A person has legal rights because the person lives within a legal system that guarantees those rights. But what is the basis of moral rights? We look towards Immanuel Kant, who was an influential figure in modern philosophy. His philosophical works profoundly shaped the trajectory of Western thought. According to Kant, moral principles are universal and absolute, applying to all rational beings regardless of circumstance. Now, Immanuel Kant proposed two categorical imperatives. What is a categorical imperative? It is a moral principle that is binding on all rational beings. Regardless of their desires or circumstance, it is a rule of conduct. It is unconditional or absolute, and it does not depend on any particular goal or outcome. Now, the first categorical imperative requires that everybody should be treated as a free and equal person. Okay, the theory of the categorical imperative comes in two forms. First, there is reversibility. What is reversibility? It means the person's reason for acting must be reasons that he or she would be willing to have all others use, even as a basis of how they treat him or her. The second is universalizability. A person's reason for acting must be the reasons that everybody could act on, at least in principle. Kant's categorical imperative, the second version, reads that an action is morally right for a person if and only if, in performing the action, the person does not use others merely as a means for advancing his or her own interests, but also both respects and develop their capacity to choose freely for themselves. The second formulation that Kant gives of the categorical imperative means that everybody should be treated every human being should be treated as a being whose existence as a free, rational person should be promoted. This means two things. Respect each other's respect each person's freedom by treating people as they have freely consented to be treated beforehand. Develop each person's capacity to freely choose for him or herself the aims or he or she pursues. Now let's look at how we can apply Kant's categorical imperatives. Imagine you're a manager in a technology company and your team is developing a new product. The client is eager to know if the product will have certain features, and your competitors are also in the race to deliver a similar product. Now, if we imply the categorical imperatives from Immanuel Kant, first you have to formulate the maxim or the principle of your action. Let's say the maxim is, I will exaggerate the capabilities of our product to secure the contract, even if it involves stretching the truth. Step 2. Universalize this maxim. Consider whether this principle could be consistently followed by all companies in the industry. If every company were to exaggerate their product's capabilities just to secure contracts, it would lead to a marketplace where clients cannot trust product claims. This could result in misinformation, disillusioned customers, and potential legal actions. So, applying Kant's categorical imperative to this business scenario, you'd recognize that making exaggerated claims about your product's capabilities might lead to short-term gains, but it is going to undermine the foundation of trust within the industry. If all companies engage in such practices, clients would face uncertainty and skepticism, harming long-term business relationships and the industry's reputation. In line with Kant's philosophy, you would choose to communicate accurate information about your product's capabilities. By doing so, you're upholding ethical standards, ensuring transparency, and contributing to an environment of trust and fair competition. So, this example demonstrates how Kant's categorical imperative can guide ethical decision making in business by encouraging actions that can be consistently applied industry-wide without compromising trust, honesty, and the overall well-being of the marketplace. Immanuel Kant teaches us to treat every person as an end in themselves, not merely as a means to our own ends. This principle guides us in Namibia to uphold dignity and respect for all. So, there are three basic rights that can be defended on Kantian grounds. Humans have a clear interest in being provided with the work, food, clothing, housing, and medical care that they need to live. The second is humans have a clear interest in being free from injury, and in being free to live and think as they choose. Humans, and the third right is humans have a clear interest in preserving the institution of contracts. Kantian philosophy champions our basic needs, work, safety, and the sanctity of contracts. In Namibia, these are not just ideals, but goals we actively pursue. Understanding rights is crucial for creating a fair and just society. Let's continue learning and advocating for our rights together.